Well, good Friday morning, everybody. Welcome to the WLBB Community Voice Program. Our show, not quite brought to you by Tanner Health System. We'll try it again. Good morning, West Georgia. Friday morning. I'm your host, Colin Worthington, on this Community Voice Program. Our show brought to you by Tanner Health System. It is now 8:30. We are live this morning on Facebook Live, so you can take a peek in at our guests. Of course, we're on News Talk 1330 and FM 106.3 as well, and streaming live on the internet at newstalk1330.com. Our guests this morning with the First Foundation for Childhood Literacy of Carroll County, maybe just Carroll is the official term. But my guest this morning to my left is Martha Thurman and Karen Hartley. Good morning, young ladies. Appreciate you coming out to talk about your program and also a fundraiser that you have coming up here in within the next month, I believe it's in October. So we will talk about that on this program. A lot of people who would not be familiar with First Foundation, I think a lot of people are, but those who are not may hear that word first and think it has to do with number one, like you're bragging about something. But the group First Foundation for Childhood Literacy, very important for the youth as far as getting books out to the youth, and we can talk about that right now. The First Foundation. First of all, what is First? Where does that come from? And what exactly does your nonprofit organization do?
Well, thanks, Colin. First of all, First Foundation, and it's actually spelled F-E-R-S-T. Our mission is to provide tools to parents, books mailed monthly to all the children who are registered in our program from birth to age 5 in order to encourage families to read to their children. And we really realize that reading is a key foundation point in helping children be prepared for school and in early learning. And so we recognize how important that is. We know that 61% of children who live at poverty level and below don't have a single piece of reading material in their homes. That's a statistic that's just shocking. But we also know that there are a lot of other families out there that are well above poverty that just don't know how important it is to read to children from the time they're born until they're ready to go to school. And it really begins to help develop those skills so that they are ready to learn when they arrive at school.
How do people get involved with this, or how do they let you know that we'd like to receive a book once a month?
We register children in a variety of locations across the county. Registration forms are available at the libraries. We register children at birth at both of the Tanner locations here in Carroll County, and get a lot of our children right off the bat through that program. We also register children through the health department and with WIC, and in a variety of events and festivals and other ways to do it. People can always go online to firstreaders.org or to firstfoundation.org and find us and register their children online.
There is a carrollfirst.org website as well.
Right.
Is that still
That's still active. That's our local website, and they can register there too.
The books, again, 0 to 5 are the books you're putting out. Thomas the Tank Engine, something like that, maybe starting out the Dante's Inferno by the time you're 5.
Here's the exciting part. We work with 3 local publishers in the Georgia area to develop our children's books. And we have a committee of people that annually review those books and make new selections of what books they'll receive. So a family with multiple children is going to get different books for the different children as they move along. Some of them are familiar books we all love, Goodnight Moon. Other things are just great books for young children. They're all age appropriate, so a newborn's going to get cardboard books that are stiff and easy for them to turn pages, and as they get older, they'll get books that are appropriate for their particular age group.
Over the last, how long has this been open in Carroll County? Has it been decades?
14 years now, yeah.
Think about with the internet and things like that, and Kindles and ebooks. Is the participation changed over there?
Actually, it's not. We continue to grow. Currently, we're serving about 4,200 children here in Carroll County this year. We're mailing about 3,550 books a month. So we're really sending out a lot of books. We have about 7,500 children eligible in this county. So we're over the halfway point. We'd like to be reaching all of them or most of them, but we know that, for whatever reasons, there's some people that just don't get registered. And that number will continue to grow as we move through this program. Yeah.
And as a nonprofit, need a little help in getting the money to pay for these books. And maybe, I guess, do you get donations of books as well, or are you kind of focused to the structure of the books that you want to promote?
Our role as an organization here locally is really threefold: to provide the books to children and therefore get children registered in this program, to provide now today a family education initiative and a family education program to help those, and we can talk more about that in a little bit. But then our third one is fundraising. And we get a lot of our money from grants, from individual donations, and from a few fundraising events that we do. We work with a program with the university and their Ignite students and sell storybook birdhouses every summer that are painted and decorated around a First Foundation book. We also work with Belk Charity Days, and we do our Fashion First Luncheon, which is our big event coming up this next month.
Well, I think about myself growing up, and when you got a new book, between that age, 2 and 5. I mean, you're doing 0 to 5, but I'm, thinking 2 to 5 when I actually got the book. Just the excitement of having your own book. This is my book, and you want to read it,
Right.
and the kids will read it over and over and over again. When you do hand these out, do you have any stories like that about kids just being real excited about receiving this book?
We have parents that tell us that their children start to anticipate the book, and it's like, is my book in the mail today? Did I get a book?
And it's monthly, right?
So it's every month. They come about the same time every month, around the 15th to the 20th of each month. So, kids learn to anticipate it and look for it and get excited about it. Yeah.
Are you aware of any parents or maybe getting together doing book clubs where their kids get together? And
I'm
they all
not
read
aware
together?
of any of that, but we've started to encourage that sort of thing. Mommy, baby book clubs. Why not?
Well, being a nonprofit, we alluded to that. You do have to have fundraisers of some sort, get the word out like today in today's program as far as how people can donate. But you do have a fundraiser, which is coming up, and it's a fashion show. How did you come up with the idea? It's a unique idea. Not too many fashion shows raising money for nonprofits, but how did you come up with the idea for that? Why is that associated with books?
Well, we have a a lot of interested persons in the community who help us to raise the funds, and so the first fashion is Fashion First event is coming up. It's a luncheon to be held at the Country Club. So a group of this will be noonday on Wednesday, October the 10th. We have a group of ladies in Carrollton who have organized, and they have partnered with Dillard's Department Store to promote a fun day of food and fashion. Susan Fleck and Michelle Morgan are the co-chairs for this event. So you know them to know that what they take on does
I was
very
going to
well.
say Michelle Morgan and Derek Newton. I think that they're involved in just about everything between those two.
Yeah, and Derek's a good supporter of ours as well. On this particular big event coming up October the 10th, we have many of our lovely Carrollton and Carroll County ladies that will be the models. Dillard's fit them into their clothes and manages all of that. We have a lot of local sponsors that get very involved with that. So I would have to say accolades to Dillard's in Douglasville, to Steve Adams and Susan Stone. They are our presenting sponsors this year. The Carrollton Orthopedic Clinic and Tanner Health System are premier sponsors for our event. Many other individuals and groups are sponsors and donate to make this a great fundraiser and a fun day. There are still a few tickets available. We do have where people can get a whole table and their group can come, and that's what it means, they're sponsors. So the table is there for people that sponsor a table. They can fill it, or there'll be other places available. Tickets are still available. You can get them from Danielle Brown at Shot Spot. They have the few that are left, but we do have a few tickets that we would like to sell.
Can you get those online or anything? Or
No, we would have to go to an individual who has the tickets.
Okay.
And right now, What we haven't sold are at ShotSpot.
Martha Thurman and Karen Hartley are our guests on this morning's Community Voice program. They're with the First Foundation for Childhood Literacy, talking about a fashion show fundraiser they do have coming up next month, October the 10th, right? Wednesday, October the 10th. And when we come back from our first break, now that we've established that they are the First Foundation for Childhood Literacy and been around for 14 years, there's a name change in the works. And we'll talk about that when we come back after our next break. It'll still be First, but perhaps the second portion of the name will identify them better for people who are not aware what the First Foundation does. So we'll take our first break here. We are live this morning on the Facebook Live page, News Talk 1330. Also streaming live online at newstalk1330.com. And, of course, traditional radio, News Talk 1330, FM 106.3. Our show brought to you by Tanner Health System. We'll be back right after this.
At Tanner, we're advancing health throughout West Georgia and East Alabama. Because we know that exceptional care isn't based on how many patients we serve, but how well we serve them. That's why we're focused on quality, delivering the best possible care for our patients. It's why we're expanding our clinical services and building new facilities to serve our growing community. And it's why we're looking beyond our hospitals and medical practices to develop sustainable wellness and preventive health programs in our region. What makes a hospital great has changed. It's not how many beds we have. It's how well we care for the neighbors who need them. Delivering the right care to every patient, every time, is how Tanner is advancing health with medicine beyond measure. Learn more at tanner.org or find a physician on our medical staff by calling 770-214-CARE.
Welcome back to the WLBB Community Voice program, our show brought to you by Tanner Health System here on News Talk 1330, FM 106.3. Also this morning, we are on Facebook Live, the News Talk 1330 page. Do welcome your comments on that page this morning. Andrew Huggins has already checked in, says, both of my boys have benefited from First Foundation. We are thankful for their mission. So a nice comment there for you guys.
Thanks, Andrew.
Martha Thurman and Karen Hartley are guests on this morning's Community Voice program with the First Foundation for Childhood Literacy, promoting a fashion show they have coming up October the 10th, and we'll talk more about that as we continue through our program this morning. Before the break, teased a name change of sorts that you guys have coming up. Apparently, they've done it elsewhere. There's 7 states right now that that offer the First Foundation program, and I understand that's going to. First of all, they're planning to take that nationwide.
They are. First Foundation for Childhood Literacy was actually founded in 1999, and our key founder was Robin First, who's part of a large philanthropic family in the Atlanta area, and she set the organization up, and things began, and their headquarters are in Madison, Georgia. But our focus for the first 10 years of the organization was probably Georgia. And we largely were a Georgia organization. But in the last 3 years, they've begun to expand. We're now in Florida, Alabama, South Carolina, Mississippi, Texas, and Montana, of all places. I was going to say,
most of those are southern states, and then Montana jumps out.
Montana. And they're getting inquiries all the time from other states and from other communities that want to be involved in this program. And so we see it growing a lot. We're almost up to 5 million books mailed in the wide organization.
And these are not leftover books. I mean, you'd mentioned...
These are brand new books. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they are brand new books.
And even the stories. I mean, you'd mentioned about the book you'd mentioned. I read it to my son. I can't remember the name of it right now. The Moon.
Goodnight Moon.
Right, yeah.
Goodnight Moon.
Yeah, very popular book at that time.
Exactly.
And probably still is.
Still is.
I just don't
still
have
a favorite.
2 or 3-year-old son anymore. But the name change. There's, you hear First Foundation, and not everybody's going to recognize what that's about. And you and I talked foundation. You typically think that you guys have some money to give.
Right. First Foundation for Childhood Literacy, it kind of became a mouthful, quite honestly. But what we began to realize more than anything else is that the word foundation implied to people that we had money to give away. Foundations are thought as places for resources for money. And we intended that word to mean a foundation to learning. And so after a great deal of review and working with some marketing folks, the national organization has determined that we're going to go to first readers. Readers as our name moving forward. And you'll start to see that. You'll certainly see it on the national website already, and we're targeting to get everything planned and in place to implement it here in Carroll County by the first of the year.
Is there an identification on those books, like where those kids get those books from, so they know that?
The books typically have a logo and a name somewhere, typically on the back cover of the book. We print our books, so we're able to do that. Every book comes with a newsletter to the parents that has great information about other things they can do with their children, maybe an article about the psychology of what's going on with the child at the age their child is. Great activities so that we try to insert local things that are going on at the library or some other place for children.
As a parent, you think you get this book and you can just read it with your kid, but there is more you can do as far as interacting and I guess making that book more memorable.
Right. And now they say, don't just focus on the words. Talk about what's in the pictures. Get the child interacting with that, and they do very early on. I know from working with my own grandson recently how quickly at 5 or 6 months, he was turning the pages, which was like, whoa, but now he reads the books himself at 1.5 years. He'll sit on the sofa and flip through them and look at them and have fun with it. And, his parents are pretty proud of that. So,
do these books have a lot of pictures in them too? Or they
of
make
course.
Sure?
Yeah. And some of them are just pictures because imagination and making your own story can be part of that too.
I imagine there might be some parents that, I guess don't take it to heart how important it is to read and to think about a child reading or hearing those words formed as as they develop. Are there statistics? Do you have statistics and good resources that point out why that is important in development?
Well, absolutely. There's a lot of evidence today that children who read and who are talked to in those first 3 years come to school ready to learn, and the ones who don't are lost. They just don't have any idea about what they need to do at school. If you haven't ever seen a book, then you don't know how to hold a book, or you don't know which way is up, or how to turn the pages. And if you haven't had enough conversation with adults and those around you, then you haven't developed that vocabulary that's so important as you begin to work with school. But I like to look at it in another way, Colin, and say, if you are one of those parents that struggled in school and maybe just barely made it through high school or didn't make it through high school, and now you're in the world today and you're doing the best you can and you have a new child, are you going to read to that child? Reading is not something that was fun to you, so it's not something that you even think about. And so those are the parents that we want to reach so often and say, it's really important that you read to your child and share time with your child, because they just don't know how important it is.
See, I come from a home where both of my parents, read. It was
Sure.
probably top priority for both of them, but it never really rubbed off on me. It came to the point where, I'd fight with my dad at 6 or 7 because I'd rather go out and play baseball than read, or do something else. But both of them still read. Plenty. It really is their probably takes up to break down all the activities. That's the one they do more than anything still. And it probably wasn't until I was maybe in my teens where I had other friends who I was just fascinated with their knowledge and wanted to kind of be like them, just have that kind of knowledge, to where I started taking it up more.
There's an interesting transition that happens in elementary school. The first 3 years, grades 1 through 3, they're learning to read. When they reach grade 4, they're reading to learn. Big difference. They don't teach reading in 4th grade, but they're using the skill for all their learning, whether it's science or history or literature or whatever they're studying. It becomes a different factor. In Carroll County, and this is true for most of Georgia, almost 2/3 of our children are not ready to read in 4th grade. That's pretty scary. So
Well, it would have to come down to the parents. You guys can do this and get those books out, but the parents would have to
That's
be the
exactly
ones to
right.
read with
There's
them.
there's a lot of factors that play into it, but we're really addressing that not only in First Foundation, but also in early reading in the Carroll County Educational Collaborative and other works that we're a part of, to really address some of those issues and educate our parents and really help them to know what their role is as their child's first teacher.
Our guests this morning are with the First Foundation for Childhood Literacy of Carroll County. They have a fashion show fundraiser coming up next month. We'll talk more about that in our next segment. Martha Thurman on my left, Karen Hartley on my right, and we are live on Facebook Live this morning, the News Talk 1330 page. Also, News Talk 1330 AM and FM 106.3. On the Facebook Live page, if you feel like this has benefited your children in the past or have a comment for our guest, please post it up there, or you can call us on the phone, 678-601-8255. And for those of you maybe just joining us and missed us talking about it in the first segment, there are ways to participate in this, and make sure your kid gets a free book, 0 to 5. I mean, how many months is that? 60 months?
Just about,
60 books.
yeah, typically,
60,
exactly.
Yeah, 60.
And again, how can
Yeah.
how can parents make sure that their child participate in this?
They can go online and register their child at any of our websites, Carroll First or First Readers. They can go to the library and pick up a registration form. If you have a newborn, hopefully you're getting registered at birth, at the hospital, or at the health department.
And tell about the health department. There's maybe pamphlets they give out. I think parents probably get a lot of things, so maybe they don't see that when they get tired of
Right.
reading the first 3 and don't
Right.
see it. So yeah, check out the website and sign up your kid. It's a free book. Not going to hurt you. Community Voice, brought to you by Tanner Health System here on News Talk 1330, FM 106.3. We'll be back with about 7 minutes after this.
At Tanner, we're advancing health throughout West Georgia and East Alabama because we know that exceptional care isn't based on how many patients we serve, but how well we serve them. That's why we're focused on quality, delivering the best possible care for our patients. It's why we're expanding our clinical services and building new facilities to serve our growing community. And it's why we're looking beyond our hospitals and medical practices to develop sustainable wellness and preventive health programs in our region. What makes a hospital great has changed. It's not how many beds we have. It's how well we care for the neighbors who need them. Delivering the right care to every patient, every time, is how Tanner is advancing health with medicine beyond measure. Learn more at tanner.org or find a physician on our medical staff by calling 770-214-CARE.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the WLBB Community Voice program. Our show brought to you by Tanner Health System. It's 8:54. We're streaming live this morning on the News Talk 1330 Facebook page, of course, on News Talk 1330 AM, FM 106.3, streaming live online at newstalk1330.com. Our guests this morning from the First Foundation for Childhood Literacy, soon to be the First Readers. You'll notice that name change after the new year. Martha Thurman, Karen Hartley, our guest on this morning's Community Voice program. Before we talk about their fundraiser coming up next month, you and I were talking a little bit during the break, Martha, just about the confusion when people hear First, and they think that possibly when they see it spelled out that people are misspelling it. But it does come from, it was started by a prominent family, and actually in Georgia, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, the First is spelled F-E-R-S-T, and that's because that is a family name that are the founders of First Foundation. And the reason being, Robin First was a young lady who, at birth, was hearing impaired. So as time goes on, how do you learn to compete or, to communicate with the world? And so she found that her communication, she had all the medical ways of sign language and all of that, but at the same time, that's a big void in your life when you can't hear and you can't converse in a conversation like we're doing today and that kind of thing. So she got her information through reading from a very early age, and she saw that this is a way to help other children to to get books and to have reading material and things that she could enjoy. Her family was associated with Georgia Tech. There is a street called FERST at Georgia Tech, and I noticed there is a new center for plays and that kind of thing that's going to be named the FERST Foundation Center. So that's very much where a lot of this got started and why we are called the FERST, First Foundation.
Well, it's in 7 states right now, First Foundation. Is that every county in Georgia? Or
only those counties that have a group like Karen and myself and the Women's Club that helped us to get started, who are willing to be volunteers, who get out in the streets and collect money, and who go to all of the big events. I've been out to each of the big Saturday races or events here in Carroll County. We went to one every Saturday in the month of July. There seems to be a lot of activities here, but they wanted, and we do appreciate the fact that they want us to help us get the word out about First Foundation. So we've been invited to go to many of these events, set up a table, and talk to people as they come and go, to let them know what First is all about. And if they have small children, we go ahead and register those at the same time. So we've been booked pretty good for the whole summer this year, and the word's getting out very well here.
Now, Martha, you've been there from the beginning for this program,
From the beginning,
right?
yes.
Yeah. I imagine there's at least a couple other people that are helping you and Karen.
There's a long list.
Is it a long list?
There's
Too
a
long to mention on
list.
the program this morning?
Well,
as far as board directors?
Martha Saunders is one of the persons who has been with the program from the very beginning.
We have a great board of directors of about 12 members at this point, but under them we have within our committees probably another 40 volunteers who each do something, from helping us coordinate post office book returns to making sure that the hospitals have registration forms to helping us with fundraising events and all the other things that it takes to keep an organization active and alive. We're always looking for new volunteers, too. If
That would have been my next question.
Absolutely.
They get in touch with you the same way, or is there a more direct way?
Through our website, or you can contact me, and we'll get you in place and find a spot for you that's suitable, whether you've got an hour a week or several hours a month or would like to be more committed. We've got some openings coming up on our board, and we'd love to have some new folks.
I guess I had this image of you boxing books all month long. Is that basically it? You're boxing and shipping them
No.
off?
We don't do that part.
No?
That's all handled by the state or headquarters organization. Okay. So we don't have to be involved at all in the book selection or in the mailing of the books. They mail about 45,000 books a month.
Wow.
In the wide organization. So we're only a big part of that, but still a small part of that.
We have 1 minute left, Martha, so we're going to hand it off to you to tell us about the fundraiser, which is coming up next month. Give everybody one more opportunity to grab tickets for that.
Okay. We have a group of ladies in Carrollton who have graciously said that they would organize, along with Dillard's, a fashion show. The models are our local ladies that all of us know and appreciate the fact that they are going to be a part of that. That is coming up on Wednesday, October the 10th. The luncheon will be out at this country club here in town. So the tickets are $60. There's a few left. You can get tickets from the Shot Spot, as they have the extra tickets that have not been sold.
And you can get more information to contact this group at carrollfirst.org. Ladies, thanks for coming out this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Community Voice program. Our show brought to you by Tanner Health System. Have a great weekend, everybody.